Welcome to the Go Phish podcast, your place for pulling back the curtain on tech security and learning in the real world. I'm Dan Thornton, and today I've got Samantha Hanreck, founder and CIO at Data Sync and associate consultant with the Cybersecurity Institute of South Africa. Samantha is a multi-hat wearer, helping SMEs across SA, Asia, Europe, and the USA, adopting AI, transform IT strategy, and tighten their cybersecurity without losing their minds. Samantha, thanks very much for joining us today. Let's dig into what you're seeing in the South African market and beyond, all things cybersecurity. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks.
First things first, what led you into the cybersecurity space or IT in general? What does your journey look like that brought you to Data Sync today?
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey. I absolutely love tech. So moving into things that are evolving all the time just really makes it an exciting, unraveling journey. It's never the same. There's always new things. There's always another layer of something to look at. I think also having to come into the IT space, you need to understand there's so many different concepts of it, cybersecurity being one, and then lately AI being my huge new passion.
What's your core focus at Data Sync, Samantha? And what are the types of clients who you're mainly working with? Is it big industry? Is it small? Is it a mix? Are you focusing on one particular sort of sector? Talk to me about what your market looks like.
Great, thanks. So market looks like mostly global clients. I think they're leveraging the lower fees of South Africans that can speak great English, similar time zones, and great skills coming from South Africa. I do have a few local clients, a bit more in the corporate space, retail space, product space in South Africa. A lot of my clients have a supply chain and manufacturing component to them. I come from a background in rolling out ERPs in supply chain, manufacturing, logistics. So it's a natural gravitation towards those kind of clients. I do have a bit of a blend overseas as well, where, commercial real estate, fintech, biotech is another sort of industry which attracts manufacturing.
And what's the current cybersecurity sort of mood in South Africa you're seeing now with your South African clients? Is it what are businesses mainly worried about?
I still see it lagging a bit compared to my global clients. I think it's got an element where there's more budget overseas for cybersecurity. It's, for me, I find it's often the first area of a budget that gets cut when people are looking at IT budgets, which is a bit sad. I really think it is so important. And I think with the emergence of AI now, it's going to be a non-negotiable.
Yeah. Do you find it's a culture thing? It's something I've debated and discussed before with friends and colleagues about. In the South Africa market, security, South Africans are exposed to a lot of other threats and a lot of other risks and maybe some very physical stuff. So now you talk about you need to protect your data, and people are like, do we? Is it that really important? We've got potentially carjackings and muggings and break-ins and real life stuff. So trying to tell South Africans they need to look after their data is a tough sell sometimes. Do you find that compared to some of your clients in sort of other countries where real world risks are not as high?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you hit the nail on the head. There's so many other security components they got to worry about that it becomes second of importance. I think overseas, I think they're a little bit ahead in understanding with the data compliance, the GDPR. I know we've got POPIA and a few other things, but they started a lot earlier. The fines are a lot heavier. We haven't seen anybody fined in South Africa properly yet. So I think that's non-negotiable. You're going to get heavy fining, get your data protected. What do you?
Yeah, exactly. Now, with your clients, your overseas clients, what common risks or blind spots do you see cropping up again and again when it comes to cybersecurity, no matter what the region? What commonality are you seeing when it comes to the threats and how you're dealing with it?
I still see it as education and training, to be honest. I think it's starting on a user-based level. I don't see companies taking that seriously. And yes, there's threats, and yes, but we put a lot of security in place. They've got the standard stuff. You've got your DLP, your data leak prevention. We've got your firewalls. We've got all of that sort of, and they're okay to spend money on that, but then that's where it is. That should protect us. And we know now in the cybersecurity space, that's not enough anymore. There's so much more threats coming up. There's so much more opportunities coming through shadow IT, shadow AI. What are your staff doing outside, and what are they doing with your IP? So it needs to be holistically looked at.
And you're doing that, Samantha. What is your process when a new client comes to you and says, "We need help with cybersecurity"? How do you approach that? What's usually the real problem? Is it their people? Is it processes that are lacking? Is it policies that are lacking? Is it tech that's lacking? How do you guys approach that to actually solve that problem for that company?
Yeah, good question. It's normally a blend. It's definitely policies. That's a key thing. I find hardly anyone thinks of policies. Like I approach most things in my business, everything is around where you're at and where do you need to get, how do you get there? And as is to a to be. So it's a strategy essentially. And yeah, we come in, we do a sort of a road mapping, either 3, 6, 12 month, whatever they need in that space, and then allocate budget to get to there and how they would do it. There's definitely a component of the users as well. Like I said, there's a blend. And then definitely just not having stuff in place. I work predominantly with startups moving into the scale up space as SMEs. And I think we all know, being a founder of a business, when you start out, you're so focused on your product or service and growing the business, you're not really pausing and looking back what systems, what security you have in place. And then next minute you look, you've got 20, 30 staff. You're like, hold on, I actually need a proper policy. I need to go look at stuff. How are we managing the data between our siloed data? Are people copying and pasting and saving it on laptops that aren't backed up to the cloud? So it's that pause moment that I feel I come in a fractional CIO space to a business. And that's part of what my offering is. And I just allow them to just, okay, if we want to go get bigger and get better, we have to just pause and go look at these and put these components in place. Do we have a training model in place, what you guys offer, or other tools out there? I work quite a lot with other tools as well. And I've recently been looking at your product as well. So there's definitely people are waking up to the need of it. But when I start off, it's a whole new, like, oh, wow. I think they get a sense of over time, they start seeing the benefit from it.
When you're talking about addressing the human element and trying to talk about employee training and changing behavior with the end users, are you seeing a growing demand for this? Or are customers coming to you and talking about it and identifying it with you? Or are you pushing it more on your customers and raising their awareness to it through your early assessments and that sort of thing?
To be honest, it often only comes from the client side when there's a problem. That's the sad thing. Everybody's in a reactive mode versus a proactive mode. And that's my whole thing is I won't sleep at night knowing I have a workstation and an environment without an antivirus on it. People don't understand the value of that until they've been hacked, until they've gone into that space or their data has been stolen or encrypted. I like my sort of business model and my approach always, even when I worked in corporate, when I was leading IT teams, is I like doing things in iteration. So keep coming back. Okay, let's go and do a team education update. So I often say to the clients, we're going to do a 30-minute call once a month, or we're putting out like the tool of the month, or even the tools that they're using, how to utilize them better. And I think a lot of people just put tools in place and forget about them because they're so focused on their role and their job and their product that they're offering as a business. And what needs to come back is actually these tools are super powerful. And are you using them to the benefit? Because they can really save your business. And just to add, I did a talk last week on adoption on AI, focusing on cybersecurity. And a key thing I highlighted was SMEs are the highest targeted attacks at the moment. And everyone thinks, oh, we're too small for it to happen to us. That's not the truth anymore.
Yeah, no, I harp on about that and talk about that a hell of a lot. And it is the hackers now, with the way that they're using it and targeting and big social engineering campaigns that they're pushing out, they're targeting the easiest targets. And 9 times out of 10, those are your SMEs who don't have the budgets and don't have the security plans in place and don't have the help that they need. And so they are getting hit. And unfortunately, your bigger organizations, they get hit. It stings for them and it hurts for them, but they can recover. Your smaller organizations, a lot of the time they get one chance, and that one hit for them, their big phishing campaign, a big ransomware attack, big ransom paid or locked out, or they lose their reputation, or they lose that big amount because their accountant paid over a few $100,000 to some fake account. That's them closing their doors. They can't recover from it. So they do very much need it, even more than the bigger guys, because they're that much more vulnerable. Samantha, you mentioned regulations. You spoke about GDPR, and South Africa, we got POPIA, and there's a ton of other compliance mandates that are pushing companies to do something around cybersecurity. Do you think it's actually driving meaningful change in the market, or are we still just in tick box territory here?
Actually, we still articulated it well. an interesting amount of hype as well as fluff, especially I'm referring to AI. And I think AI is going to put in my opinion, a lot of spotlighting on the cybersecurity needs, on IT needs, regulation, data privacy needs, because it's accelerating so fast. And there's almost this component where we need to look at, okay, where's my data? How quickly is it sitting there? How secure am I? And I think that acceleration is going to force us to move out of the tick box phase into actually understanding regulation, because there's a couple of sides to it. We've got America on the one side that are saying, I don't want to stifle innovation, no regulations. We've got the EU going on where they put the first sort of gold stamp regulatory EU AI Act out. And then we've got China that's coming from a very socialistic point of view where it's government driven and how they're protecting their economy. And then we've got South Africa and Africa that's looking more at African AI policy. And it's not quite there yet, but I think it's going to become almost a checklist on anybody who has a business in South Africa and globally. It's out of a checklist space. We need to take this next to a budget plan. I don't know. I feel this is quite important. Data is becoming our gold. Yeah.
Big time. Big time. Now, there's, as you've mentioned already, there's a ton of noise around AI. And in the cybersecurity space, there's a lot of noise. A lot of people are talking about AI-driven attacks and AI-driven social engineering and how the bad actors are leveraging AI to make their attacks a lot more potent than they ever were. Are your clients paying attention to this? Are they asking about it? Are they raising red flags with you? And how are you? The media is loving it. There's a ton of fear mongering around it. The media is jumping on every new story about AI-driven attacks. What are your clients asking about it? What interest have they got in it? And actually, how are you helping them stay grounded to what really matters? Because they can very much be taken off in a direction where they're scared to death about everything and anything. But how are you actually keeping them grounded in the sort of basics about cybersecurity?
So I think I've got a bit of a blend. Some clients are like, I don't want to touch AI, then we won't be affected. It's that scenario. And then I've got some clients who are like, I need agents, I need this, I need that. And I'm like, well, let's just go back to the drawing board. Let's go do your strategy. Let's look at, are you data ready? Let's future proof your business. What does your cybersecurity posture look like? How do we, the whole sort of framework that we move through. So it's an interesting blend. I think personally, there is definitely an acceleration of potential through the bad actors falling into those hands. It is going to leverage more threats, more consistent. Now you've got something that, even though a script or something can run over and over, you now might have multiple agents running over and over. So it's exponentially bigger, the threats. I think it comes down to education and getting educated from the leader of the business down. And I think it's no longer something you can outsource. And I think IT and cybersecurity has often been outsourced to a CIO. When I say outsource, I'm meaning like the CEOs don't really think about it. It's something they just hire somebody really good. And I think the digital era that we're in now is changing so much that you're no longer just a business that sells a product and a system. You're a digital business that sells a digital product either overseas or local. There's so much digitizing happening inside the business that you can't ignore it. Yeah, I think just to make sure I've answered your question, it definitely is on the cards of people. People are talking about it, but there's a lot of, like you said, hype where people want it, but they don't really know what they want. And then there's a lot of people like, if we just ignore it, it'll go away.
Yeah. And your point about sort of executive education and executive buy-in, executive ownership of this issue as well. Are you finding more and more of your customers, does that CIO role sit now on the executive team? Are they part of the decision makers around the big table, or are your CIOs and that's still trying to find a place at the table?
Yeah, again, it's a blend. Again, it comes from who the leader is of the company. So how technology switched on they are, or how I think right now we're in a space where a lot of people have one foot in the old way of doing things and one foot in the new. And that's why there's that hybrid. We'll hopefully start shifting soon.
Yeah. And what are you finding with CISOs and the role of the CISO, Samantha? Is that still very much sitting below your CIO? Are they sitting alongside at the same table? Do you know, I understand my question, like the importance of cybersecurity and where the CISO sits and how much ownership or how much authority they have and how much they listen to. Where are you seeing them sitting now? Where do you think that they should be sitting?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think it's based on the company size and the sort of portfolio of the company. I think I like personally the concept of a CISO sitting in the C level, because I think too long IT has been thought of, and cybersecurity, as just an IT problem. And for me, it's actually a company wide. I think it should be across. I think the CISO and the CIO should work quite closely together, or it should be a dual role if that CIO has the right skills. And then obviously having someone underneath to support you with the heavy lifting and stuff.
Yeah, awesome. And then last one, Samantha, before we finish off, if you could instantly fix one thing in the cybersecurity industry and what you're seeing or what you're working with, what would that one thing be?
That would be to have more budget for it. I said earlier, I know that sounds quite rudimentary, and I'm not focusing just on a threat or problem. And I probably have one and a half things. You said earlier, yeah, often people don't have budget. And I know companies have certain amount of budget, and it's all about how they allocate it. And I almost feel when you start a business, you start, your strategy of, I'm going to hire 5 people, and I need to pay for licenses and register the business and an accounting system. Cybersecurity should be the same at that level. It can't be a last at the end thought of. I harp on that all the time because I've seen it, I've experienced it, and I promise you're not going to have a business if you don't start taking cybersecurity, taking it like as a real thing. And then the other half thing I think is education. I think it's such a big thing, and everybody thinks it's an IT or cybersecurity department's job to have education. And actually, every single person who owns a device, laptop, or works anywhere on the internet should have some cybersecurity knowledge. And I've seen so many close friends being hacked and losing Facebook accounts or whatever else. And it's just such small things they're not aware of, or getting their bank credit cards details stolen and stuff like that. And I think there really needs to be a massive awareness campaign somehow that gets out to everybody.
Yeah, for sure. Samantha, that was epic. Thanks very much for bringing all of your global insights and local reality. If you are listening to this and want to learn more about Samantha's work or the team at Data Sync, Samantha, where can people find you? What are you guys up to next? And how can they find you in the company online?
Great. So I've got a website. It's data-sync.co.za. You can find us on there. We've got an awesome AI readiness score app if you want to see how ready your business is. I'm hoping to release a cybersecurity one soon as well. It's completely free. That'll be available on the link, or reach out to me on LinkedIn, Samantha Hanreck, as well as Data Sync.
That's awesome, Samantha. Thanks very much. We'll catch you next time on Go Phish. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you very much. Cheers.